Welcome back to the channel, everyone. And if you're new here, my name is Henrik. I'm co-host of Rage Quit with Chris from the Chris Collins Show. We put together a gaming talk show podcast where we just talk about video games. And there I am known as Henrik the Wreck. So today I thought let's try something different and review slash react to a video called The Bright Sides of Modern Day Gaming by KEDU, if that's how you say this name. But anyways, I thought that might be something actually somewhat interesting to talk about, and I saw a couple people reacted to it already, but I haven't seen their perspectives, and I haven't seen the video either. So I thought maybe there could be a dialogue to be had there, and I'm just gonna say outright if you feel like any views that I give are wrong, or if you have a different perspective than myself, then feel free to leave a comment below and we'll, maybe have a discussion about something. So I invite that to you. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the video and we'll watch that and give my thoughts.
The last few months on the internet, I noticed there's been lots of discourse going on about modern day gaming. Lots of discussions about how gaming is no longer what it used to be.
Okay, a lot of people have definitely been talking about games like the one that they're showing here, like the Suicide Squad game. Like I'm right there with the people who are complaining about it, and I think that you know the decision for them to delay that game was definitely a good decision, but I still think that it just feels kind of soulless to me, at least. But I wonder what this guy's gonna say.
That gaming is being ruined by corporate greed. And yes, there's lots of truth in those discussions. Monetization being prioritized over fun gameplay is definitely not a lie. Not even full-price single-player games are saved from the flood of corporate greed.
That would be a hilarious Elden Ring mod or something to see, like, or maybe not even just Elden Ring, but like just any game really kind of feels like this. Like I remember there being this video. I doubt I'd be able to find it, but it was like Call of Duty, but then like every few steps you take, you end up getting an advertisement thrown in your face, and you have to watch it if you want to continue to play the game. And then you walk another two steps, and then another advertisement pops up. But so far, I definitely agree. Like a lot of the games, you can really tell. I mean, at the end of the day, the games aren't being made for the benefit of anything but a profit, really. I mean, it's a business at the end of the day. There's going to be an element of, do I want to make this game good and enjoyable? But at the end of the day, these companies do need to make money. So the only thing is, a lot of these companies have kind of overstepped their boundaries with what's really acceptable. And this would be like a worst case scenario, but all the microtransactions and things that are shoved in everyone's faces whenever they play any game is, kind of crazy nowadays when you really think about it.
Nightmare.
Yet
Especially
most of
compared
these
to like
discussions
older
seem
games.
to be one-sided, purely talking about how gaming evolved in a negative direction while ignoring the many different aspects where it has actually evolved in a positive way. I get it, collectively complaining about something is way more fun, but sometimes the good aspects also deserve to be praised. So because of that, I'll be reaching out to my bloomer side instead of my doomer one for once, and I will be presenting the 4 bright sides to modern day gaming.
I mean, he's right. A lot of times people just look
Gaming
at the
is the
negative
best
stuff.
medium in which to experience a story. That's my opinion, but I think a lot of people would agree with me. But why is that? Well, I'd argue it's because it's the most immersive one. No other medium lets you experience a story and explore a fictional world as if you were a part of it, by either making your own character or controlling a predefined character or characters in a story. And games are getting more and more immersive to this day.
Yeah, I think that really the bright side he's probably building up to here is something that I agree with. The technology for building out these game universes is just expanding and growing year by year. Sometimes even month by month. And you know, there was this whole conversation about it. What is AI going to do in terms of helping that, you know, progress even faster potentially? And you know, I think you can't really look back and say, oh yeah, the games, you know, that were made 10 years ago were made, you know, with more, you know, like better technology than today. Because no, for sure, definitely the games that are made today are made using better technology. And I think the issue is, how do you use that technology to make a better game? Because it's one thing to say like, oh yeah, my game was made with Unreal Engine 5, for example, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the game is good. Like the game could look great because it's an Unreal Engine 5, but if it doesn't feel any better comparatively to something that was made with even, you know, Unreal Engine 3, or even not even an Unreal Engine game, just like a game from 20 years ago, then I think that's a problem, you know, because you're just not utilizing the technology to focus on the things that actually matters, which is making a game that's fun and enjoyable.
Because as technology improves, so does the way games are able to drop you in a more and more realistic looking world. Yes, I can already hear you think, modern games might have better sound, better visuals, better acting, animations and so on, but that doesn't automatically make them better games. And yes, I agree, it doesn't automatically make them better. If the gameplay sucks, the gameplay sucks. No lick of paint will ever be able to fix that.
That's what I was saying.
But on the other hand, games that do have a really strong gameplay core absolutely do get improved by utilizing modern day technology.
I can
and
agree
they
on
are
that.
better than how they used to be. Let's take a look into the past. Games way back in the day used to be really strong in one department. And yes, it's the one that mattered most, gameplay. It was all the developers cared about.
I mean, it's all they could care about. You know, the games had a little bit of a limitation in terms of the hardware and what you could do with the actual graphics and everything. I mean, it's just the one thing that, you know, actually drew people in more so. I mean, yeah, there's a charm to, you know, like the NES and SNES titles and everything. Like the graphics, I'd say they still look good, looking back at a lot of games. But really, the gameplay had to be, you know, enticing. Otherwise, someone was gonna just drop it. Especially back then, I feel like there was probably more of an emphasis on gameplay, uh, probably because it was such a new industry, relatively at least, compared to other ones, that, at least in my opinion, I think there was a factor of everyone was trying to figure things out, and if your game wasn't fun, no one's going to want to fund your next project.
Creating a fun game while at the same time dealing with the huge technological constraints of the time. Games back then were a completely separate medium from, let's say, animation, TV or cinema. There were some games that already from the very start presented some type of narrative, some type of characterization, but all of that was an afterthought. The game industry did their own thing, while the storytelling based mediums did theirs. Some would say that's a good thing, that gameplay is all that should matter, but I disagree. Adding story, adding character and a narrative can make a game become so much more. And a studio called
Squaresoft
agreed.
Ah yes, the first Final Fantasy.
They believed that games could present the same thing as an anime or a movie, for example. Epic fights, emotional moments, character development, big explorable cities, huge set pieces and battles. And despite the
I'm just gonna say real quick, it's crazy how long Final Fantasy's been around, that, you know, the 16th one is finally coming out this year, and it looks so much different than the new one. Like, it just kind of like that series, if any series, would be a way to show the evolution of gaming in terms of the technology that's being used.
limited technology that they had to deal with, they did find ways to make it work, to turn their games from just being small games into huge immersive adventures. Because of limitations, lots was still left to the player's imagination. Lots of things players needed to imagine themselves. They needed to translate the pixelated environments, characters and bosses to real locations, real people and battles in their own mind. But as technology grows, so does the developer's ability to make their full vision a reality, with each console generation allowing more and more to be directly presented to the player, and thus leaving less and less things to the player's imagination. Look at those Unreal 5 visuals. The future of gaming is looking more and more.
Yeah, this video was crazy to look at. Like, it looks like it was filmed on a cell phone. Like, but it's not. It's in a game. It's just like that other game, Unrecord, that everyone was talking about a couple weeks ago. Similar thing, just like crazy how that looks. But I think what's even crazier is give it like 5-10 more years, how crazy will it look then?
More real. So in short, the growth of technology and the way AAA developers are able to fully utilize that technology to make games more real and immersive is definitely one positive evolution. And it will only keep evolving from here into the future. While AAA studios keep pushing the boundaries on a technological front, it is really the indie game scene that does all the innovation on a gameplay front.
I could definitely agree with that, and I think that that's because there's a level of independence to the indie games. I mean, it's even in the title of, you know, the genre, if you want to even call it that. But they don't have the whole corporate aspect necessarily, because a lot of times these indie games are just passion projects by people, and a lot of them don't make money as a result of that. But the ones that really, you know, shine, they really do try to innovate because that's what they have to do. Otherwise, you know, they don't make a mark in the industry at all, and people don't play the game. So it's definitely one of those situations where, you know, like he was talking about earlier in the video, there's none of that corporate greed putting their hand in the cookie jar saying like, oh, well, I see you have this great game here, but, you know, we need to have some way to monetize it. And that way is going to end up being what makes the game not necessarily fun, because it's just going to waste people's time in order to, you know, make them want to take out their wallet and spend some money on a skin or whatever it is.
It makes sense. AAA games are way too expensive to make. It's much safer for studios to just do the same thing they know will work over and over.
That's true too,
There's
yeah.
no risk involved that way. So luckily for
They
us, the
definitely
indie game
take a lot
scene
more money to
exists,
make.
and oh boy has it grown so much from how it used to be. With free-to-use engines like Unity and Unreal, and the internet being filled with tutorials and guides, pretty much anyone can make a game these days.
What's crazy, just this is a little off topic, but what's crazy is you can go on YouTube and find so many tutorial videos about pretty much anything you'd want to learn about nowadays. It's almost like, I mean, I've seen videos of people in classes and their teachers are showing YouTube videos of a tutorial or something. And it's kind of like, damn, a lot of the stuff that you can learn in school, you could actually learn on your own from resources like YouTube. Not to say that there's no value to go into some sort of university, but I just thought that was crazy. Might as well bring that up right now.
And it shows because hundreds upon hundreds of new indie games are released every single day. So unlike AAA companies, indie studios are pretty much forced to innovate and invent new exciting gameplay, otherwise there is no way for their game to stand out above all the rest. In this battle royale of indie titles happening every single day, only the truly innovative and fun games survive, which results in not only more fun games for us to play, but also results in AAA companies taking notes about what works in the indie scene and then taking it to the AAA scene to continue working on the concepts with higher budgets.
I will say sometimes that kind of backfires, considering I think sometimes, well, couple things. So first off, in the indie scene, there's a lot of things that just end up getting a little overplayed. I think that one of the things that's kind of getting there for a lot of people, if it hasn't already, is the roguelike genre. It feels like so many games that are indie games that come out now are roguelikes. And like the gameplay is fun for a roguelike, or at least it can be. But I don't think every game needs to be a roguelike. Like, come on, like we can figure something else out. But when it comes to a AAA game, adapting these things that indie games try to innovate on, sometimes it doesn't really work. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the fact that, like I was saying, there's the corporate greed and, having to also worry about the budget and everything for those AAA games that take so much money. But there sometimes are some things that don't really translate too well. But, there's also plenty of examples that do translate really well. They're showing Returnal right now, which I think Returnal is a great game. If you want to play a AAA roguelike.
An example for this, and pretty much the one that took the game industry by storm the most, is the Battle Royale genre, which was actually invented by one creative gamer with the alias of PlayerUnknown. He first created Battle Royale modes as mods for DayZ and Arma 3, and continued to work as a consultant on the popular H1Z1 Battle Royale mode. After that, he started working at an indie studio called Bluehole, and created a standalone game that would completely represent his vision with PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, the very first full release Battle Royale game. Soon after its enormous success, AAA studios had to jump on the bandwagon and collectively made an insane amount of money off the back of this one very creative mod maker.
But see, that's the thing. Battle Royale genre, I think, is so overplayed right now, and it kind of shows, considering I think right now there's only like 3, maybe 4 big battle royales that people even want to play, and it takes a real big hook to keep someone invested in a game like that, in that genre now, because I want to say it was only like last year or maybe the year before that Ubisoft tried to make a battle royale called like Hyperscape or something, and that game died in like a month, not even, probably. Like, I just remember seeing a lot of people, like creators on YouTube, play it because they got some sponsorship deals, and after they played it, the game died because no one wanted to play it. It was just like, why do I want to play this over something that's already been established, like Fortnite or Apex Legends, or Warzone even, like, I don't want to say those are probably the big 3. I know that there's also PUBG and all that, but I don't really hear about PUBG that much compared to the other 3.
Aside from that, the ever-increasing indie scene is also known to have saved tons of old genres from the past, like Metroidvanias for example, and boy are they better than they have ever been. And how can we forget about survival horror? How the indie scene pretty much carried this genre on its back for years after AAA studios completely gave up on them in the PS3, Xbox 360
The dark times
era.
of Capcom.
What the fuck? So in
supposedly a survival horror genre where you're on a truck with a Gatling and a machine gun shooting down zombies. Like, come on.
short, indies absolutely made a positive impact on the gaming scene as a whole, and will continue to do so into the future as technology becomes
Stray
even
was
more
really
accessible.
good. I enjoyed that
can't
game.
wait to see what creative experiences devs
So
from
was
all
Doki
over the
Doki
world
Literature
will
Club.
be able to come up with. Rockstar Games. Everyone knows them. They are one of the most acclaimed developers in the AAA gaming space, and oh boy do they swim in cash. Grand Theft Auto Online still milks the shit out of its player base every single day.
They're really good at it.
Rockstar potentially millions of dollars a month, with the game being an absolute pay-to-win mess. Yet despite all that, Rockstar Games still has its reputation as being a legendary studio, while EA, Ubisoft,
I mean, to be fair, they did make a really good game in GTA 5 and I want to say even the older GTAs, like they were all really good games to the point that like even when Cyberpunk 2077 came out, people were drawing comparisons to from that game to GTA 5 and saying like, GTA 5 actually did a lot that held up even, however many years that was after it was like 7 or 8 years after that Cyberpunk came out. So
Ubisoft and Blizzard, for example, have absolutely been dragged through the mud by the general public for monetizing all their games so heavily. But what is it that Rockstar has?
I mean, I think that gamers just don't like being shoved the option of, oh, like for example with the Blizzard games, WoW in particular, we'll talk about just briefly here. That game feels so much different than when it originally was, for many reasons, but part of it is a lot of the focus went away from the experience of playing the game and more so how can we make money off of this game? And that means that they're charging money for like mounts and like collectibles, basically, things like that. So I think that especially when there was a great like Blizzard had a great reputation all the way through my childhood. Blizzard was known as the studio to play a game from, and you knew you were gonna have a good time. And it was like around, I want to say 2011, 2012, that started to shift and become more of like, oh, if you play a Blizzard game, you're opening up your pockets and giving them all your money because that's just how those games roll.
That the other studios don't have. Well, I'd argue it's Red Dead Redemption 2. This game released in 2018 and was praised by the gaming public as an absolute masterpiece, winning tons of awards. In its standalone single player component, not a single microtransaction is to be found. No early access bullshit, no paid cosmetics, no cutting it up in parts and selling stuff later.
Got
it's
a good point there.
Just a good old single player experience you pay full price for, and in return, you get the full game with nothing held back from you.
And I think that's something that's going to be so visible looking back like 10 years from now. All these games that are online only and like live service games, for example, 10 years from now, you're not going to be able to play them the way that they're played today. If they're still around, they're going to have updates. They're going to be much different than they are today, most likely. Whereas compared to a single player experience like Red Dead Redemption 2, or, one of the Souls-like games like Elden Ring or Dark Souls 3, 2, 1, whatever, you can go 10 years in the future from now and play them in that 10 years time, and they will still be the same experience that they are. I mean, sometimes developers do go back and, tweak things a little bit, like, with The Witcher 3, for example, recently on PC and on the modern consoles, they gave a free update to the visuals, so everything looks nicer than it did when it was first came out, but that didn't change the game. Like, the game itself is still the same, and it's a single player experience that's never going to change because it's not tied to an online service. Crazy, right? Like, this is why people were so upset at games like Redfall or the Suicide Squad game being online only. It's so it feels unnecessary. Partly because, at least for the game preservation perspective, like, you're not going to be able to play those games later on down the road with your kids or whoever if you even just want to play yourself. You're not going to be able to do that because the servers are down. Come on. With single player games, you don't need to be online.
So Rockstar seems to have a really great approach to its business. On one hand, Grand Theft Auto Online still keeps pumping money for them as a live service, and on the other hand, the variety gamer audience was made happy with a high quality AAA single player game, one they'll remember for years. and I heavily believe this might become a popular approach in the gaming industry. One thing we have to accept: every major publisher, and I say every single one of them, will keep trying to get a fully monetized live service off the ground. Capcom will try to get a successful Resident
Probably
Evil multiplayer
mostly
game
to
off the
make
ground,
money,
despite nobody really
'cause
caring.
it makes money.
Square Enix will want to go even further and get an NFT live service off the ground. Good luck to them.
Yeah,
Blizzard,
good luck to
well,
them.
will just keep being Blizzard. And even
I like how he doesn't even need to like fully explain the Blizzard side of things. It's just like, Blizzard's just gonna be Blizzard at this point. Like they're just gonna keep trying to squeeze money out of their players.
PlayStation Studios,
Diablo Immortal, for example, you know.
known for their high quality single player games, has announced that every major one of their first party studios has at least one multiplayer title in development. Despite all that looking really terrifying, single player audiences don't have anything to fear because of one simple reason: live services are risky as hell. If they succeed, they will make more money than anything else in the world. But if they fail hard. And oh boy, the gaming community
Anthem did
doesn't
so
easily
poorly.
forget.
Oh, this game, Babylon's Fall. Oh, the game would like that was another game that went so poorly, and you can see by this chart like nobody's playing this game compared to when it first came out, and you probably didn't even hear about this game because it went so badly. I wouldn't be surprised. Yep. Shut down like within months of it coming out. Same thing with this Marvel's Avengers. Oh, that feels bad. And I was so looking forward to Halo Infinite. So I was like, oh, you know, back to my roots of playing Halo. The game, I want to say the game, there's a game there at least, but considering it's been like almost probably like a year and a half since the game came out and they still haven't fixed big issues like desync, that's a big yikes. And I think even if they did fix it at this point, I think the ship's already pretty much sunk, you know? It's not worth having as your main game.
So in conclusion, AAA single player games will simply never disappear. Releasing one won't make you as much money as a live service would, but if you're a competent game studio, releasing one will be a more assured success. It will still make lots of money, the most vocal gaming community will love you for it, and non-live service games are also more likely to get you to score during award season. And a remake is an even easier win for both publisher and gamer. If you look around,
I mean, yeah, because I mean, a lot of remakes can feel like cash grabs, but if there's at least a semblance of effort put into it, like with the Resident Evil remakes, especially 4, I'd say, it could be successful, as we have seen, because yeah, I mean, you just got to do a good job with remaking it, and then you're gonna get all the people who loved that game originally to come back and be like, I'll play the game again and buy it again at full price, even, you know, just to play it again in full remake status.
You'll see that most major publishers still release so many high quality single player games for this very reason. And if you don't see it, well, you just need to look around more.
I want to say, yeah, there are going to be still plenty of single player games. Even this year, there's plenty coming out. This is probably going to go, this video is going to go probably live when the Tears of the Kingdom game comes out, The Legend of Zelda, and that's a single player experience that I think so many people are looking forward to, myself included. So I agree. I don't think that they're going to go away.
Let's end this video on a shorter topic, but a fundamental truth that lots of gamers seem to ignore. Not all live services are bad.
It's true.
Yep, it's true.
Yeah.
Lots of them are hot garbage, but not all. Final Fantasy XIV,
I mean, I think that there's a perspective, yeah, perspective or perception. That's what I mean to say of a live service game in the gaming community that it's like it's a red flag when a game says that they're going to be a live service game because there's a lot of times that it doesn't go well. And, at least me, I don't want a game that looks good to fail. Like that's just I that's just not good for everyone all around. It's not good for the developers, not good for the publishers, not good for the people working on it, not good for the gamers who wanted to play the games and tried to play the games. It's just not good all around. And live service games, they can be a red flag, but there are plenty of good live service games. I will say that. And he's going to give some examples, I think.
Destiny, World of
Yeah,
Warcraft,
so he said
League of
Final Fantasy, Destiny, World of Warcraft, League of Legends,
Legends, Valorant,
Valorant,
Apex, Fortnite, and so many more
yeah,
that I
all
can't
great
mention.
examples, honestly. Those are all live service games that I think, at least have some communication with the community and try to put out good content and make sure that their player base is satisfied. I mean, everyone's going to have some complaints with each game, like for example with Apex, so many people complain about certain things that the developers do, Respawn does, or doesn't do rather sometimes. But I think part of that is that, these people who are complaining about things in the game that haven't been worked on or aren't being looked at, it's not because they're like, oh, this game's bad. It's because they know the game could be so much better than it is and they want it to be successful. It's not so much that they want to see it fail or that they see it failing. It's more of like, I like this game and I want to see it succeed. But this is my opinion on what needs to be done. So just do it. Like, I'm unhappy. Other people aren't happy. Fix it.
They all have dedicated communities for a reason, and they do very well even 10 years after their respective release.
Team Fortress 2 is still alive, and that game came out so long ago at this point.
And with the growth of technology, the potential these more social-oriented games have to grow and evolve far outweigh the potential for growth in the single-player market. Despite all that, when looking at discourse about games, all that is talked about is how live services are stupid and how they pretty much ruin it.
Well, here's the thing. It depends on what the corporate side of things decide to do, because if they do get a successful live service game, and if this guy is saying you can support them on the pretense of like, okay, if we support them now, they'll later on do a single player experience of, something that we like, whether it be the same, game or something else. I wouldn't say that's a good reason to support a live service experience, because you're kind of buying into something with the promise of something that's not there yet. And I mean, we've seen a lot of times that, a live service game will come out and then bye single player experience. Fortnite did it with their single player experience. That game wasn't a battle royale at first, and the battle royale popped off all of a sudden, and then bye single player experience, because they wanted to focus on making sure that the battle royale and multiplayer experience was better. And Apex Legends, not too long ago, they announced that yes, they were working on a single player experience in the Titanfall universe, which is also the Apex Legends universe, and then they announced that they were canceling it. And I think that if there was any reason why they were canceling it, it was probably because they decided that this is probably not going to make us money compared to just putting that money towards, the money for development towards developing more things for Apex Legends, which we know will make us money.
Everything. And that's because, of course, the angry mob of single-player variety gamers is far more vocal in that field than the people that actually enjoy these types of games. which in a way is understandable because for a time it looked really bad. It looked like the entire gaming industry was about to shift more towards multiplayer and leave single player in the dust. But like discussed,
personally, I never really felt that. I'm gonna say maybe it's because I've never really been someone who's like always so gung-ho about like all the AAA experiences that come out, because we've been burned by so many of them at this point as the whole community, looking at all the games that come out. But I think that it would definitely be a dark day if all the games that come out were only multiplayer online live service games.
earlier, when you look around, 2023 is filled to the brim with awesome single player games.
Yeah, exactly.
So all I'm trying to say is it's clear the industry will keep providing both types of games. So there's no need to shit on every single live service that comes out anymore. Not dismiss one immediately just because it has that live service label. If you do that, well, maybe you might miss out on some genuinely fun game experiences that are also just fun for a variety gamer to play for a month and then move on from.
I mean, he does have a good point. Like he was saying, there's not only live service games that are bad, there's good ones. But I think that, you know, like with anything, people are going to look at the negatives, and the negatives kind of outweigh the positives as a result. And you know, people just don't want to get burned by bad experiences anymore in the year of 2023, where, you know, we could be doing so much better. We have the technology, we have everything we need to make good games. It just sometimes games don't come out well because of whatever reason.
So in conclusion, when looking at AAA gaming, we all like to imagine a really bleak future, but it could be a lot brighter than we think. And like presented, in some regards, it's actually evolving in a positive direction. So on that note, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe. As a YouTube channel that just started creating content, it is heavily appreciated. What direction do you think video games are headed in? Leave a comment down below, I'm interested to see other people's opinions on this topic. Thank you all for watching, and catch you all later.
Yeah, you know, this guy did a really, he made a great video, I want to say. I'm gonna like it and subscribe to him, because I mean, if he continues to make not video games, but videos about video games like this, then I'm all for that. But, you know, I think he made some good points here, and I think that the thing to take away from anything that this video said is the industry, whether it changes or not, there's always going to be great experiences, because there's going to be people who are passionate about their job and making a good product, whether it be the AAA experiences or the indie experiences. There's going to be people that are going to want to make the games good and enjoyable, because it's a net positive for everybody if the game comes out and it's good. No one's going to want to, like with the, I saw recently there was a developer on Twitter that was getting harassed because she worked on Redfall. Like, I never understood the whole concept of like, oh, this game was really bad, so let me harass the developer. Don't do that, first off. But second, like, you shouldn't hope that a game is gonna go badly with its launch, or, you know, whatever. Like, why would you wish badly for a game? Like, even a game that I don't like League of Legends, my friends who know, they know. But even a game like that, like, I'm not wishing that the game is gonna do poorly, like, because people enjoy that game. And I think the more good a game can be, the better, you know? Like, I just don't understand that perspective of wanting to see games fail. You know, even if someone who's working on it is someone you don't like it just, you shouldn't put out negativity like that. But anyways, I thought this was a good game, or not a good video about games, and I guess if you had any thoughts that were different than mine, or any opposing opinions, agreeing opinions, whatever it is, feel free to leave a comment. And I have a question for you. You can answer in a comment as well if you'd like. What's a single player experience that you're really looking forward to playing this year? For me personally, aside from The Legend of Zelda, I want to say the System Shock remake, because that one I've been really looking forward to, and it already got delayed a couple months this year, so we'll see if it really comes out at the end of this month. But yeah, that was that. And yeah, if you liked, hanging out, listening, and all that, feel free to drop a like, comment, subscribe. And like I said at the beginning of the video, I'm a co-host for the Rage Quit podcast with Chris Collins and the Chris Collins Show. Currently, we are on a break as we figure out what direction we really want to take the show into. But when we do come back, we do a show every week. So feel free to come on by. You can see some of the content from the show and other content that I've made on my channel here on YouTube. So feel free to take a look at those as well if you'd like. But anyways, that being said, we'll end things off here, and I hope you have a good rest of your day, night, whatever it is that whatever time it is for you. So that's all for now, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.